Hi again, 5th primary student, with the rest of our class for math under the supervision of the Ministry of Education. أهلا ومرحبا بكم طلبة وطالبات الصف الخامس الابتدائي وتكملة للدرس بتاعنا في الجيومتري ماث تحت رعاية وإشراف وزارة التربية والتعليم. Last session we talked about the parallelogram and how we get its area. We'll start now by reminding you of what we have covered in the last session, and after that we will start to learn about how to get the area and the perimeter of another shape, which is the square. So here we have an example. It's more like critical thinking, يعني بنشغل دماغنا شوية. فإحنا عندنا هنا two shapes, a rectangle and a parallelogram. وعايزين نعمل بينهم comparison أو هنقارن بين both of them مين فيهم الأكبر. إزاي؟ we first need to get the area بتاعت كل shape فيهم، وبعد كده هنقارن أو هنقول أي shape فيهم هو الأكبر من التاني. So as you see here, we have two straight lines parallel to each other, which are the grayish straight lines اللي هما YA and XB. These are parallel straight lines. وبetween ال two parallel straight lines دول أنا عندي ال two shapes اللي احنا بنتكلم عنهم, which are the rectangle YXFE and the parallelogram, which is in red, DCBA. Okay. شوية properties بتاعتهم are alike, شبه بعض يعني. إن كل حد فيهم عنده every two sides are parallel to each other and equal in length. Okay. الفرق في ال measurement of their angles. Okay. إنه عندنا ال rectangle, it's four angles, each one of them they are equal and each one of them is equal to 90 degrees, while the parallelogram does not have the same case. مش زيه، مش الانجلز بتاعته مش equals to 90 أو مش equal to 90 degrees. طيب here we want to compare the areas. مش عندي ال length بتاع كل حاجة، ولكن دايما في كل مسألة I will find some clues. It's like a riddle. يعني كأني بحل فزورة ودايما هيكون عندي مفتاح للفزورة دي عشان يساعدني أجيب بقية اللينس اللي أنا محتاجاهم عشان أحل المسألة بتاعتي. ف here what I have is the length of the side of the rectangle EF موجودة عندي، وعندي ال length of the base بتاعت واحدة من rectangles, one of the sides of my rectangle which is 60 centimeters, وعندي ال length بتاع also one of the bases of my parallelogram اللي هي برضو 6 centimeters. So to answer this بالنسبة لي الداتا بتاعت أو المعلومات اللي محتاجاها عشان أجيب الاريا بتاعت الريكتانجل موجودة، لكن الاريا بتاعت الباراليلوجرام ناقص فيها الهايت. احنا لو اخدنا بالنا احنا قلنا انه we drop the height of the parallelogram from one of the two opposite sides on the other one opposite to it. Okay, so here لو اخدنا بالنا هنلاقي انه الهايت which I have dropped now it's parallel to one of the sides of the rectangle, إنه ده parallel لده and equal in length لأنه the distance between the two straight lines هي واحدة. Okay? فيبقى ال height اللي أنا I dropped now ده it's also 10 centimeters. خلاص دلوقتي أنا جمعت الداتا اللي أنا محتاجاها أو الانفورميشن اللي أنا محتاجاها عشان to find out the area of both shapes وبعد كده أقارن بينهم. I'll start with the area of the parallelogram So it is equals to, as we said, base times height. My base is 6 centimeters and my height is 10 centimeters. Then the area is 6 times 10, so it's 60 centimeters squared. And the area of the rectangle EFXY, as you see, it's also the same. It's length times width. Length times width. L times W. This is the area of a rectangle. L times W. So this one is length times width. And this one is base times height. Okay? And in this rectangle, my length and width are 10 and 6. So 6 times 10 again equals 60 centimeters squared. So as you see, both of them are equal. ما فيش أي اختلاف في الاريا بتاعتهم. So the area of the parallelogram equals to the area of the rectangle. ده عشان كنا نفكر بالباراليلوجرام اللي أخدناه في الحصة اللي فاتت ونحل something like a riddle نفوق بيه كده ونبدأ ندخل على حاجة جديدة. So here, properties of a square. Our lesson now is the square, area and perimeter of a square. So, properties of a square. What are the properties of a square? It is a quadrilateral where its 4 sides are equal in length. يعني عندي ال 4 sides بتوعي كلهم قد بعض ما فيش أي اختلاف بينهم. So لو واحدة فيهم 1 سنتيمتر يبقى 1 سنتيمتر يبقى الأربعة كل واحدة فيهم 1 سنتيمتر. أوكي؟ ما فيش أي اختلاف بينهم. Each two opposite sides are parallel. يعني AB parallel ل DC, BC parallel ل AD and nothing different. الأربعة length بتاعهم واحد. وال 4 angles also are equal to each other and each one of them is 90 degrees. وهو شوية شبه الريكتانجل في الجزء ده لأنه برضو rectangle عنده 4 angles. Each one of them is 90 degrees and the 4 of them is equal. The difference is that every two opposite sides are equal in length. إنما في السكوير كل ال sides are equal in length. Okay? Its 4 angles are equal in measure. Each one of them is 90 as we said. And its 2 diagonals perpendicular equal in length and bisect each other. الdiagonals اهي اللي هما ال 2 lines اللي بوصل بيهم every 2 opposite points زي BD و AC. They are equal in length. يبقى دي كده معلومة لازم أكون عارفاها. هما perpendicular يعني ال angles between them or at the point the angles at the point where they intersect is 90 degrees and they bisect each other بيتقاطعوا مع بعض. Okay? So I need to know these 3 characteristics very well. The diagonals are perpendicular, diagonals of a square. They are perpendicular, equal in length, and bisect each other. Area of the square. Now let's move to the rule. I have 2 ways to get the area of a square. Either by knowing its sides or knowing the length of its sides. So the area of the square will be side length times itself. قلنا إن كل ال sides are equal. So I multiply the side by itself. So the rule is A equal S times S. And the parameter is side times 4. لأنه إحنا اتفقنا إنه البارامتر دي ال outer lines بتاعت any shape. So ال outer distance بتاعت any shape. So here all the sides are equal and we have 4 sides. So it's S times 4. Okay? Now, if I know the length of its diagonals, if I know the length of the diagonals of the square and I don't know the length of its sides, يعني المرة دي ما قاليش ال side length كام ولكن ال diagonals اللي intersect أو they bisect each other inside the square أنا عندي ال length بتاعهم. ف I can get the area of a square also using the diagonals of my square. So it will be half the diagonal times itself. So it will be A equals half times D times D. Okay? So let's recap or gather all the data that we have regarding the rules of the square on the board. اوكي زي ما قلنا احنا دلوقتي هنجمع المعلومات اللي احنا اخدناها عن ازاي نجيب الاريا بتاعه سكوير. الاول هنشوف شكل السكوير بتاعنا. كل واحده من دول اسمها سايد، وعندي الانتيريور لاينز اللي بتجوين every two opposite points ببعضها، دول الدايجونالز. عندي طريقتين عشان اجيب الاريا بتاعه السكوير. لو انا عارفه السايد length هتبقى الاريا of my square is side times itself. اوكي، والبارامتر بتاعه السكوير بتاعتي هتكون side times 4 عشان احنا قلنا قبل انه البارامتر بيبقى outer distance around a shape. طيب لو هو مش مديني في الكويستشن السايد length، ممكن يكون مديني length او لازم ساعتها يكون مديني length of the diagonals or one of the diagonals inside my square. طيب ساعتها هتكون الاريا بتاعتي ايه؟ تبقى area equal half a diagonal times itself. يبقى هنا أنا عندي ال 3 important rules بتوع square. الاريا if I have the side length is side times side or side times itself. البارامتر side times 4. لو هو مديني length of the diagonals or one of the diagonals, so it's going to be half times diagonal times itself or times another the other diagonal. And of course the two diagonals, as we said, are equal in length, perpendicular, and bisect each other. So that's it for the rules of the square or getting the area and perimeter of a square. Let's go back and practice on what we have learned now. Our first example, here I have this square ABCD where all the sides are equal, as we said before, and all the angles are equal and equal to 90 degrees. Each one of them is equal to 90 degrees. And I want you to find the area and the perimeter of this square ABCD. I'm sorry, it's a square ABCD where AB equals 5 centimeter. كل اللي أنا محتاجاه عشان to get the area of a square إن يكون عندي side length واحدة. So as we said, the area of a square equals side times side or side times itself. So here area of square ABCD equals side times side or S times S. طيب أنا عندي هنا the side length بتاع AB is 5 centimeters. So it will be 5 times 5. Then the answer will be 25 centimeters squared. And remember, the area, it has to be in a unit squared or squared unit. So here it's centimeter squared. Okay, what if I want to get the perimeter? So the perimeter, as we said before, is S times 4. Okay, so it's 5 times 4 equals 20 centimeters only, not centimeters squared, centimeters only. Okay, here, another example. If I have square ABCD, but this time I have diagonals, 2 diagonals, okay? And I have the length of one of the diagonals. So if I don't have the side length, I can get the area using the diagonal. So here DB, all of it is 8 centimeters. Then I'll use the second rule, which is area of square ABCD equals half times D times D. And I will substitute the D. هشيل ال D's اللي عندي أحط مكانها 8 مكان كل حد فيهم. So it will be half times 8 times 8. I can simplify to make it easier for myself. هنا I can simplify the 8 with the 2. So 2 divided 2 is 1 and 8 divided 2 is 4. 1 over 1 is 1. خلاص. يبقى I have here now 4 times 8. 4 times 8 is of course 32. Then the answer will be 32 centimeters squared. Now we will move to another example. If the area of a square is 50 centimeters squared, then find its diagonal length. Okay? هنا الاريا هي اللي موجودة عندي and I want the length of its diagonal or the length of the diagonal of my square. طيب how do I get it؟ بكتب الرول بتاعتي عادي جدا. area of a square equals half times d times d and I substitute. بشيل الترم الموجود عندي واحط الفاليو بتاعته الموجودة. فعندي الاريا of a square الفاليو بتاعتها 50 centimeters squared. هشيل area of square and I'll put 50 instead. So 50 equals half times d times d. كده عندي unknown واحد بس أو عندي حاجة واحدة بس مجهولة اللي هي ال d. وهو ال d المطلوبة إن احنا to find. So هنعمل cross multiplication. فال 2 times 50 is 100. So 100 equals d times d. طيب what are the number that when I multiply by itself it gives me 100? It is of course 10 times 10. 10 times 10 is 100. يبقى هنا عندي دلوقتي I already have got the length of the diagonal. Then d equals 10 centimeter. Okay. Now let's move to another question. The area of a square is 36 centimeters squared. Find its perimeter. Again, أنا عندي هنا الاريا 36 centimeters squared and I want to find its perimeter. طيب to find its perimeter لازم يكون عندي side length لأنه الرول بتاعت البارامتر as we said before is s times 4 or side times 4. طيب أنا إزاي أقدر أحصل على السايد length ده وهو مش موجود عندي؟ أنا عندي الاريا. It will help me to find the side length. How? We will use the same rule of the area. So area of a square equals side times side. Again, I'll do the same as I have just done in the other question. So I'll substitute the area of square and I will just take away the term and I'll put the value instead. يبقى هنا هشيل area of square واحط بدلها 36 equals side times side. تاني time table لازم يكون محفوظ طبعا. ايه عندي النمبر that when I multiply by itself it gives me 36. Yes, it's 6 times 6. So 36 equals 6 times 6. Then my side length here in the square is 6 centimeters. طيب خلاص دلوقتي I have got the side length. أقدر إن أنا to find the perimeter. So the rule of the perimeter is s times 4 or side times 4. Then I'll put the 6 instead of the side or the s. 6 times 4 is 24. Then the answer is 24 centimeter. Okay? Now let's move to another example. Find the area of square ABCD. Here ABCD where أنا عندي بس الdiagonal متقسم to two parts. هنا the first half is 3 centimeters and of course both halves are equal. فحتى لو هو ما كانش مديني انه كل half equal 3 centimeters مديني بس اللينث بتاع one of the two halves، انا كنت هعرف على طول ان هو the length times 2 عشان اخد length بتاعت كل diagonal. So here this diagonal is 6 centimeters. طيب I don't have the side length but I have the length of one of the diagonals. Then I will use the second rule of area. Okay, and the question is to find the area of square ABCD. طيب how to find it? As I said, I will use the second rule, which is the diagonals rule. It is half times d times d. So area of square ABCD is half times d times d. And the diagonal length, as we said, is 6 centimeters, so it's half times 6 times 6. Again, I will simplify. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, 6 divided by 2 is 3, 1 over 1. This is 1, it's like the air. So 3 times 6 is 18. Then the answer here is 18 centimeters squared. Okay, now with a big, nice example, let's go to the board to solve it together. Okay, الexample ده برضو like a riddle شوية, and this is the kind of examples that I prefer. So we have here two shapes in one shape. عندي rectangle, وجوه rectangle ده the yellow shape is a square. فالquestion هنا they want the area of the purple part. فأنا عايزة أعرف الاريا بتاع الجزء اللي لونه purple. Okay, إزاي هحصل عليه؟ First I need to get the area of my rectangle, then I'll get the area of my square, which is the yellow part, and when I subtract them, I'll get the area of the purple part. Okay, so here area of the square is half d times d, or half times d times d. ليه أنا اخترت الرول دي؟ أنا اخترتها لأنه أنا ما عنديش السايد لانث بتاعت أي سايد من اللي في سكوير. طب ما هو ممكن حد يقول لي يا مس أنا كمان مش عندي هنا الدايجونالز. طب إزاي هستخدم الرول دي؟ هقول إنه لأ، إن في عندي just a second السايد لانث بتاعت دي 8 centimeters and it is parallel to the diagonals. If we draw, it's parallel to one of the diagonals if we draw it here. أنا هنا رسمت diagonal inside my square. لو بصينا عليه هنلاقي إن هو parallel للسايد دي من rectangle. والسايد دي already أنا عندي اللانث بتاعها. It's parallel and equal to it. So it is 8 centimeters. I don't know what's wrong, but it's fine. So it's 8 centimeters. فدلوقتي أنا عندي one of the diagonals. Then I can use the rule of the diagonals. So it's half times 8 times 8. Okay. Then again, simplify. 2 divided 2 is 1. 8 divided 2 is 4. 4 times 8 is 32 centimeters as we learned in the other example. Okay. خلاص كده أنا I have got the area of the yellow part, the area of the square. دلوقتي أنا عايزة to get the area of the purple part. How do I do this؟ بإنه أنا أجيب الاريا بتاعت rectangle and then I take away the area of the square from it, or the yellow part from it, to get the purple part. Okay. The area of the rectangle بقى. أنا في هنا أي data ناقصاني؟ هي إيه الرول أصلا بتاعت area of rectangle؟ Its rule is length times width. So here I have both the length and the width. So it's the length and the width. So it's 8 times 12, or 12 times 8. So 12 times 8 is 96 centimeters squared. Okay. خلاص عندي ال two areas. Then I can make them minus each other. I can subtract them. 96, the area of the purple part is 96. The area of square minus the area, sorry, the area of rectangle minus area of square. So it's 96 minus 32 equals 64 centimeters square. Okay. So guys, that's all for today. I hope that you understood everything about the area of parallelograms, rectangles, and squares. Study hard. See you next time. Bye.